Well, hello there, YouTube. It's been a while since I sat down and actually filmed a video and not did just a short or, a stream. So, there's something that I wanted to talk about a comment that was left last night. And so I will let you take a look. And yeah. So, Jenny Poo Poo is starting drama yet again. And it's just like, I don't understand how a 50-year-old woman can just not give it up. I really don't understand why she's hanging on to this so hard. Why she hangs on to me so hard. And why she's so absorbed into everything that I post. So yesterday I made a comment and I did a post that some people shouldn't own animals. And I 100% feel that way. I know a bunch of people that shouldn't own animals, but they do. But when I was posting that yesterday, I thought I had attached a video to it, and I just left a comment. Didn't realize that I didn't properly attach the video that I was referencing in the post until I went back to it later when I noticed I had some comments. So that was just my bad on my part. And I've done it a bunch of times before, but whatever, it's not a big deal. I didn't mention any names. I didn't call anybody out. I just said certain people shouldn't own animals. So, of course, as per usual, Jenny Poo Poo is reading all of my posts and, of course, makes the assumption that I'm talking about her somehow because apparently she's got a new dog. She just had a cat a couple of days ago and she got rid of it and then went out and got a puppy. So somehow that meant I was referencing her when I didn't even know that she got a new dog because I haven't been paying attention to her shit for the last couple weeks. But anyway, she, of course, so wrapped up in drama, automatically assumes that I was talking about her, got all butthurt and got her panties in a wad, and posted on her community tab, calling me out, my name and my username. So a bunch of people who watch her community tab came over and made some inappropriate comments, which I immediately deleted. Now, I didn't know that she had posted about me. I just got the notifications that I had comments. So I went in to look at the comments and I was like, how are these people finding me? Who are they? Oh, maybe it's Jenny Poo Poo. And sure enough, that's what was happening. And she posted my name and my username with the intention of people coming over and harassing me because that's how she operates. But I was like, oh, well, okay. So we had a little back and forth where I was just like pointing out that it's just so fucking ridiculous and childish about how she obsesses over what I post and how she makes assumption about, everything that I post has to be about her. And she even said in one of her comments, well, who else could you mean? Like, I just got a brand new animal, so who else could it have been about? Well, yeah, okay, sure, Jenny Poo Poo, because my entire life and everybody I know, couldn't have possibly applied to anything else. It absolutely had to be about you. Like, the ego on this woman, I don't get it, but whatever. Post wasn't about her. I made a boo-boo. I was supposed to post a video with it. Whatever. I don't care. Not a big deal. So then she's going in this back and forth, and eventually I just kind of got to the point where, like, you know what? If you think the post is about you, okay, great. I agree. You shouldn't have animals because she has in the past had a bunch of animals and given them away, and she's trying to make the claim that, oh, well, she doesn't know what fostering animals is and taking them in. And I'm like, she's so full of shit. She admitted in the past to like fostering like one animal, a dog named Snoopy or something like that. And then she gave it away. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's the only other animal in the past that she's, claimed to foster. Whatever. It doesn't really matter. I said the comment to get a rise out of her and it worked, but anyway, so she made a comment in regards to my dog, Lola. And if you're new into my channel in the sense that, since probably 2021 and beyond, unless you've gone back and watched some of my older videos, you wouldn't really know who Lola was. Lola was a Labrador Retriever, I can talk, a Labrador retriever that I owned. We lost her in 2020, and we lost her to cancer, and it was really heartbreaking, and it was really hard for our family. And I didn't really share a whole lot of information about what was going on with Lola. So that left Jenny Poo Poo to make a lot of assumptions about the situation. And she left that comment, saying that the reason why we put Lola down was because we couldn't afford surgery, and that's just not what happened. So, you know, if you're going to make accusations, then I'm going to come and I'm going to tell the story of Lola and set the record straight, and, you know, people can see that you're just trying to stir the pot. So, it was 2020. Lola was about a year and a half, and we had just come down to Pennsylvania for March break. We were intending to stay here for 2 weeks and then turn around and go home. The border closed because of COVID, and we ended up staying here for 6 months. About a month after we were here, sometime in April, I believe it was, April or the beginning of May, my husband was laid off from his job because obviously with the lockdown, everything shut down, and if you weren't an essential worker, you didn't go to work. And he at the time was working for a printing company where he used those great big huge giant printers, and he made like banners and signs and, you know, things for cars and things like that, stuff that he obviously couldn't do and work from home with because there was big heavy equipment. So they laid him off and he lost his job. So money, obviously, for everybody across the board at the beginning of the lockdown was kind of tight for everybody. On top of that, my husband went and broke his foot. So we had an emergency bill on top of that. So, you know, we were, you know, not in the best position because of the pandemic. And I mean, there was a lot of people that were in the same boat as us. Up until that point, we were quite comfortable. And so when it comes to Lola, Lola was fine. We were here a couple of months, and then we noticed that she had a small little bump on her hip, and we noticed that she was walking funny. So we took her to the vet, had it looked at. They thought that maybe she had just like fallen or injured herself, because we live out in the country, and there's lots of room for her to run around and play, and she would go on walks down by the creek and all of that stuff. So we just thought at the time, because she's such a young dog, she probably just hurt herself somewhere and it was going to heal. So the doctor gave us some anti-inflammatories to help bring down the swelling and hopefully make her a little more comfortable. And some antibiotics just in case it happened to get infected. And it didn't get any better. So I think we had to wait like 2 weeks. We took her back to the vet. They did some more, and the area was actually bigger. And they couldn't figure out what it was. They thought maybe it's a cyst. So they took some x-rays. They didn't really see anything on an x-ray yet. This was like, again, maybe mid-June, towards the end of June. And the lump just kept getting bigger. And the vet kept telling me that they didn't think it was cancer, and they weren't testing for cancer because they don't normally see cancer in a dog so young. So we were convinced at the time that we didn't have anything to worry about, that it was just something small, something minor, we could get it fixed and all of that. But she just wasn't getting any better. The medication wasn't helping. So they gave her some more medication that would help with the pain. And then they did some more blood tests. They did some more x-rays. And they were like, oh, maybe this is cancer. Maybe this is a tumor. We're not going to know for sure if it's a tumor or if it's a cyst unless we go in and do a biopsy. So we took her back to the vet. They did the procedure. We have some pictures of her, and you can see where they've done the incision, and they had stitches on her and stuff. And they decided to do a biopsy, but the biopsy came back with all normal tissue. So it wasn't coming back as a tumor, which was really, really confusing pretty much everybody, because they couldn't figure out what it was, where it came from, what was causing it. And if it wasn't a tumor, then what was it? Because it didn't pop like a cyst would, like when they went into it. It was just regular normal tissue. So we spent most of July kind of doing a bunch of more tests. We did the biopsy. We did more painkillers, more antibiotics. So finally we get to like the first week of August or so, around her birthday. I think her birthday was August the 3rd. And it was, I think, the day before her birthday, they finally said, yeah, this is cancer. They had done more x-rays, and like all of this whole time period of like the span of 2 months, it had gotten really, really big, and you could see that it was causing her pain when she walked. She was visibly limping. So there was something major going on. So finally they did some x-rays, and it was a tumor, but it was on her bone. So that's why when they went in to do the biopsy, they just got regular tissue, because the tumor was attached to her pelvic bone and it was pushing the tissue up. So it looked like the lump when they went in there to the soft tissue to take the biopsy. None of that tissue was cancerous. It was actually on the bone. Now, because of where it was, the vet was like, we can't operate on this, you know? So we had to make a lot of phone calls to try and find a vet that was actually willing to go in and do the surgery. And when we finally found a veterinarian that was willing to do it, they decided to do some more pre-op x-rays before they agreed to it. And by that point, the tumor on her bone had gotten so big that they were able to see it on the x-ray. And the doctor called me after agreeing to do the surgery to tell me what they had found. And at that point, we had decided that we were going to do a surgery to go in and try and take the tumor out to try and save her. And we decided, because up until that point, we had already spent a couple of thousands of dollars doing all the tests, doing the biopsy with the meds and the blood work. And like, we were already like $2,500 in the hole in just vet bills already in like a 2-month span. So, the vet had called us, the vet that was willing to do the surgery, and said that the tumor was large, it was preventing her from walking, and that it was on her pelvic bone, not on her hip bone. Because originally they had thought that it was on her hip, which meant that if they went in and removed her leg from the hip, she might have a chance because they would remove the tumor. But after they did the pre-op x-rays, they called me and said that the tumor was actually attached to her pelvic bone. So in order to save her, because this wasn't such an aggressive form of bone cancer, in order to save her, they would have to go in and remove half of her pelvis as well as her leg. And I was willing to go ahead with the surgery. I was like, I don't care. I want to save my dog. And what the vet told me at that point was that because this was such an aggressive bone cancer, that it was not worth it to do the surgery. Because number one, it was very invasive. That it would be number two, also very expensive. And it would be extremely painful for her, the surgery itself, as well as the recovery. And then on top of that, it wouldn't be curing the cancer, and that it most likely would pop up somewhere else on her body, and we would be back at square one and have to do more amputations. So it was the vet's recommendation that we put her down and that it was more humane to do that, because the only way to keep her alive would be a number of really extremely invasive, painful surgeries. And we just loved her too much. You know, it was hard enough seeing her limp around and cry. There were nights where we stayed up giving her pain meds because she was just shaking. She was suffering so bad. And we decided to follow the veterinarian's advice. And we decided the best course of action was to put her down. And it wasn't because we didn't have the money for the surgery. We had actually raised enough money for the initial surgery through the GoFundMe the day before. But unfortunately, we were tapped out because of circumstances. And, you know, on top of just the actual procedure itself, there was aftercare that was going to come with the surgery. There was going to be meds. There was going to be a lot of other large expenses that, you know, just because my husband lost his job and, you know, COVID being what it was, and in the middle of lockdown, he couldn't just go out and find another job. We were living on unemployment. On top of that, we were paying for his emergency bill from him breaking his foot and having to go see a specialist. And it was just kind of like everything kind of happened in a really, really short period of time where we were just not financially prepared. if I had a recommendation for anybody in the future, get insurance for your pet. If we had had pet insurance, we would have been better prepared to deal with this. I mean, ultimately, having pet insurance wouldn't have saved Lola, because we still would have come to the same conclusion of putting her down because that was more humane. But it would have saved us all the thousands of dollars that we had already paid in order to find out that she had an inoperable cancer. So that was why we made the decision. It wasn't that we couldn't afford to save her. It's that the vet recommended that it was not humane to try and save her because it would have just prolonged her suffering and her pain. So we followed the veterinarian's advice. And I didn't share that with YouTube at the time because that was something that we were dealing with as a family. And, you know, the only reason why we did talk about it initially was because we had the GoFundMe. So the day after we had found out that we would have to put her down, we canceled the GoFundMe, which refunded everybody. And I mean, that was another accusation that Miss JPP had made at the time, was that we were trying to commit fraud. I was a big fraud, because we were trying to raise money for our sick dog, because how dare I do that, right? She had accused us of fraud, and she was laughing on Twitter back and forth with her friend that I was going to take the money from the GoFundMe so that I could go back to Canada, which is the stupidest thing I ever heard because it doesn't cost anything for us other than gas to go back to Canada, but whatever. Regardless, this woman thrives on drama with me, and I don't know why. And, you know, again, everything that I post is somehow about her. She's such a fucking egomaniac, and it's just like, you know, and she makes all these wild accusations about me, and she really doesn't know what's going on, but it's whatever. Like, I mean, you want to accuse me of things when I was dealing with, you know, a dying pet. Okay. Like, I mean, you're supposed to be a Christian, right? You know, but anyway. I just thought I would come on and I would clear the air, seeing as she's sending people my way and she's saying these things about me. They can actually sit down and watch this video and actually hear the truth, you know, instead of, you know, JPP lying out her ass yet again. But it is what it is. What are you going to do with drama whores like Jenny Poo Poo? You just deal with their bullshit and try and ignore them at the best you can, which I've been trying to do, you know, but when her little stooges show up on my channel and start making comments, I'm tipped off that she's posting about me again. But it is what it is. She's a sad, pathetic little woman that's obviously got nothing better going on in her life except me. And that's really, really sad. You know, like, you have a grandson, you have a new puppy, you're going to school. Like, go do these other things. I don't know why you're so obsessed with me, but it is what it is. But anyway, that's the story of Lola. That's the story of what happened with Lola. We did not put her down because we couldn't afford to save her. We didn't save her because it wasn't really saving her. She would have suffered quite immensely if we had went ahead with the surgery. And, you know, who wants to make an animal suffer that doesn't have to, right? We did the most humane thing at the time, and I would make that decision again. We miss Lola every day. It's been, you know, 4 years now. We have lots of memorabilia trying to remember her. She was like the best dog, and I wish we had more time with her, but unfortunately that's just not the way it worked out. But anyway, thank you for watching that, guys. I appreciate you. And if you could drop a like on the video, I would appreciate it as well.